Hello, and welcome to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a podcast with me, Brittany Duncan, a millennial homemaker. Join me each week as I share all the things I've learned that make keeping your home, garden, and life running smoothly, all while working. If you are enjoying the podcast, please be sure to subscribe in your favorite podcasting app so you get the episodes downloaded straight to you every Monday. Now, on to today's episode. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Untraditionally Traditional, a millennial homemaker. This is your host, Brittany Duncan, and for the unfortunate reason of a family member's passing, Johnson and I spent the weekend in New Orleans with family, which is why this episode is coming to you a day late. We did make the most of the weekend, though, and celebrated the life of our lost loved one in a way that I think he would have appreciated, surrounded by family, good food, laughter, beautiful home decor, and art, and most importantly, each other. Tio was a connoisseur of beautiful things that make the heart sing, from art to music to excellent food. He was authentically himself in everything he did, and one of the most unique individuals I've had the pleasure of getting to know. He celebrated what made him happy and in many ways didn't allow himself to be put into one bucket. Whatever made him smile, he enjoyed unapologetically, and that is a lesson I think we should all take to heart. Enjoy what makes you happy and don't look back. If you enjoy still life photography, you can also enjoy wildly abstract paintings or modern sculpture. If you love cozy Italian food, you can also love fresh, authentic Japanese cuisine. Or if you love French country home design, you can also love bright, colorful, preppy colors and southern flair. I've said it before and I'll re-say it. Your home is a reflection of you, and you are not a one-track individual. Blend all the things you love and check the box of happiness. Every time I come to New Orleans, I leave inspired. It's a city that has an energy unlike any other I've experienced. The charm and style of the homes I visit always causes me to return to my own home to tinker and put some of that inspiration, energy to good use. The food and flavors always make me want to get busy in the kitchen and tap into the depth of flavor and passion for cooking that the city exudes at every turn. Interestingly, before our trip to New Orleans, I had decided that I was going to make my next episode about wedding registries. What I registered for, what I'm glad I have, what I should have skipped, and what I wish I had. I was 23 when I got married, and 8 years later, I'm a little older, maybe a little wiser, definitely more diverse than I was when deciding what plates my husband and I would want to eat off of for the rest of our lives. You think it's a small decision, but it's kind of a big decision. First, I know my mom or my mother-in-law or anybody else that gave us advice relating to wedding registry are probably going to roll your eyes if you're listening at some point or another during this episode and sigh a breath of "I told you so" energy, and I hear you. Believe me, sometimes I kick myself for not taking advice to heart more or sooner. But in truth, each and every one of us has to carve out our own path, and even if I had taken certain advice, I would have made mistakes because I hadn't fully tapped into my personality and personal style yet. When I got married, I was just scratching the surface. And honestly, I'm probably in progress now. I'm sure 8 years from now, I'll feel differently about the things I discuss on this episode. It's just how it goes. We're constantly evolving. So new brides, if you think I'm nuts, don't worry. Follow your gut. And if you change your feelings later on, don't beat yourself up about it. Each and every one of us, whether we admit it or not, has done this. Okay, so let's get into the registry. First change I would have made to our wedding registry is to skip the mundane. The sheet set, the white towels, the silicone cooking utensils, and clear Pyrex baking dishes. If you get married when you're young, you might be starting your kitchen from scratch. And I understand that these are items that you'll want. They're the staples, but they're also relatively inexpensive items to procure, and they are not unique in the slightest. So skip putting these things on your registry and pick them up over time via sales or thrift stores. Buy them used. No one is looking at their measuring cup and, with great pride and joy, unless you're getting a cute one, in which case that I would say is different. If you're doing upscale things, an exception to the rule here might be bedding components like a mattress topper or a down duvet. These items are expensive, and if cared for well, they'll last a lifetime. They're investment pieces, and investment pieces should be included on a wedding registry. But I'm talking about your basic white towels that you can get at Home Goods. You can order from Amazon Basics if you want. Your white sheet set that you can get at Costco. You're going to change your sheets and donate a white sheet set pretty quickly. So when you're looking at a wedding registry, be putting items on there that you think you are going to have either for the rest of your life or at least for a really long time and that are going to stand out to you. Another example of this is cookware. We registered for Teflon cookware, rather than stainless steel. And ultimately, we ended up replacing all of our cookware several years ago to get the pieces that were stainless steel. I will say the Teflon did not last. I mean, it lasted, when did we probably switched to stainless steel maybe 3 years ago. So we got a good 5 years out of it. And I cook a lot. But it was losing its nonstick coating. And I also, just on the health journey that we've been on, learned all about Teflon and PFAS and did not want that in my life. So we switched to the all-clad stainless. I believe the ones we have are the D3 variety from all-clad. So get the ones you want that are really going to last a lifetime. I would steer clear of anything that is nonstick or a fad like the green pan, or I forget the name of the one that's got like the built-in little spoon rest and all that. Get something that is tried and true, that's been around for a really long time, that chefs use. Stainless, it's not going anywhere. Another great thing to put on your wedding registry, a piece I love and use all the time, is the Le Creuset Dutch oven. It is a staple. Honestly, I would, if you cook a lot, I would get the larger version and the smaller version. Good chef's knives that are meant to be resharpened and last forever. If I could go back, I would have chosen the pans that we have now, those all-clad pans, and a good chef's knife and a paring knife. Not a whole set, because a whole set isn't necessary, but having a good quality chef's knife and a paring knife will get you through most meal prep. In the vein of skipping the mundane, let's talk about China. Bold statement approaching. Do not put white plates or bowls on your registry. Just don't do it. Life is too boring for white plates. I was young, I was scared, and I thought I needed to play it safe and get basic white plates as our everyday china. I never use them. Honestly, as I'm recording this, I've decided that I'm going to donate them because they don't bring me joy, and I never choose to plate food on them that I've spent time preparing, because to me, they make the food look sad. I want plates that match my food's energy, bold, fresh, full of life, pattern, color. My mother-in-law had encouraged me multiple times to register for fine china, and I didn't. And I won't say that's a decision I regret, only because I've learned that buying vintage china can be much more economical. For example, I bought a whole set of vintage spode dishes for $125, and I believe it's a set of 8 dinner plates, 8 luncheon plates, bread plates, and then soup bowls and saucers. And just for context, a new spode plate is about $40 for a single plate. So you get the idea. That's huge cost savings. While we didn't register for fine bone china, we did register for some glazed ceramic plates from the Jars Royalty line in a beautiful blue. They're gorgeous. But they can swing casual. At the time, I could not picture Johnson and I hosting formal dinner parties, and these felt like a step up without being patterned fine china. Obviously, my feelings about fine china and hosting have changed over the years as I've gained confidence, But these plates are still frequently used in our home. They're beautiful. They were a happy medium that are timeless. And I would recommend registering for something like this as your everyday china. Just skip those boring white plates because you, your marriage, your home, your kitchen, your cooking deserve more. When registering for china, always register for 2 more settings than you think you'll need because plates break, they get chipped, and patterns go out of production. There's a really great site, though, if you do happen to chip a plate, called replacements.com, and you can find out-of-stock patterns here and pieces occasionally when people sell them to replacements.com, but it's not a guaranteed thing. So while that is a great resource to have in your back pocket, just ordering an extra set or 2 off the top can save you in that pinch. Same goes with linens. If you buy fabric napkins to sit a table of 8, buy a 9th in case one gets stained, or if someone spills water during the dinner and you need to quickly give them a new napkin. It's nice to have that extra on hand. So in summary, my advice is to get everyday china in a color, a pattern, or a glaze that makes you happy. No white china. Register for the fine china because while you may not picture yourself hosting, you will. You'll want it. Unless you're economical like me and you know you'll pick up sets of china secondhand or build your collection, in which case power to you. It's worked out really well for us. I'm constantly buying sets of china and dinnerware and servingware, and there's a lot of it that is sold secondhand. So if you're like a thrifty person, if you have tapped into that, I would say you probably don't need to register for new china. If you're willing to, eat that cost out of your wedding registry. Okay. Silver, we did not register for silver, and that's a regret that I do not have. We registered for a basic set of hammered stainless steel silverware. I've loved it. It has just enough of something going on to be fun with the hammered pattern. And in my opinion, it's still fancy enough that when I set the table with it for a dinner gathering, it's fine. I have collected some silver serving pieces over the years, like spoons, ladles, lifters, that kind of thing. And those really shine on the table. I don't believe that you need silver plate flatware to dress your table. What I do wish I had, and something that I will splurge on one day, is a set of bamboo handled flatware. I've also seen some stunning tortoise handled flatware. For the same day, it's just variety. It's fun. It's different. I would love to incorporate it into tablescapes. I see it in decor magazines a lot, in food styling, and I love it. I'm always looking for a set of that. So that's where my regret lies, not registering for silver. Crystal is along the same line. I don't regret not registering for crystal. Get some good looking but inexpensive daily drinking glasses. And then some finer but still not very expensive ball glasses. You can have fun with these. They're great for a cocktail, or honestly, I put our LaCroix or kombucha in them if we're, having a pre-dinner drink. Ours are etched. They have our monogram on one side and then various New Orleans imagery on the other side. For those of you that don't know, Johnson, my husband, is from New Orleans, and so we've adopted a flair of the Big Easy throughout our home. Wine glasses, we registered for stemmed. If I could go back, I would have registered for stemless. And then back to the crystal, they are nice to have, but rather than registering for them, this is another thing that can be picked up for much cheaper from vintage resale shops. I was gifted a set by a fellow reseller of beautiful etched crystal glasses, and we have them. I'm really glad that we do. And I do use them when we are having a nicer dinner, but they are not something that I would necessarily put on your registry. Unless you plan to entertain a lot, you really want that upscale glassware, and you think that you'll use it, and you can find a pattern that's, fun and that you enjoy. Something I'm very glad that we registered for is various serving plates and bowls, and I encourage you to do the same. Whether you are matching your china or not, vary the shape, the size, the material when you're creating your collection. We have some that are from the Jars Vuelta that are a marquee shaped. They're really beautiful. They have that same pretty blue glaze that our plates have, and they're perfect for things like asparagus or green beans. And the smaller one, the larger one, is ideal for mashed potatoes or even could be used for a tossed salad. And then we have many pieces from a Cuban-born designer that's also based out of New Orleans called Beatrice Ball. Her work is in a lot of areas, and you can order it online too. So if you're not out of New Orleans, not to worry. But her stuff is gorgeous. It's primarily aluminum alloy, sand-casted pieces. And I can see your face as I'm saying aluminum alloy. You're probably thinking, ew, like who wants to eat off of aluminum? But they're stunning. They have a really good weight to them, a beautiful shine. She does a lot of patterned wear, different shapes. They fit into every aesthetic, and a really great thing about them is that they can be chilled or heated. You can put them in the oven, they'll stay warm. Great. Very versatile. Love, love, love them. She also makes a melamine collection, and while I'm not a fan of melamine to eat off of in plate form, I do have a few serving platters from her melamine line that are great if I'm bringing a dish to someone else's home. I don't have to worry about them as much during transport. Yeah, they're great. Having pretty plates to put out and serve from elevates your hosting experience. More is more in this area. You know, collect them, put on different ones, different shapes, get some wood, some marble colored, maybe all different ones. Okay, let's talk countertop appliances. In my opinion, this is a less is more category. Probably because of space, but also I think that some countertop appliances are overrated. The ones that I would recommend are a countertop oven. We have one from Breville. It was actually my parents, and then when they were moving, they gave it to us, and it doubles as a toaster and a warming oven, and we use it almost daily. The new version of the Breville also is a built-in air fryer, so you can eliminate an appliance that way. Really great. I'm a baker. I absolutely love my KitchenAid stand mixer. Again, this was not a wedding present, but rather a birthday present from my sweet husband and his parents when we were engaged. But it's 100% something I would register for if you enjoy baking. It'll last a lifetime. My mom got hers in her wedding registry, and she still uses it all the time. So there you go. Another 3 appliances I love and use frequently are my food processor. Get a large size to accommodate food prep for a large meal. A Vitamix. I've had mine since college. It was a gift from my parents, but it's great. Get you a mixer a blender that works really well. Last is an Instapot, which is so helpful for food prep and quick meals. Something that I did not register for and that I would never treat myself to, that I think would be the perfect thing for a wedding registry, is a really nice coffee maker, an espresso machine from Breville. They're beautiful, and I love a good coffee, but they're definitely a luxury item. And like for us, not something that we're gonna splurge on, but people want to give you a gift for your wedding that makes you smile every day or every time you use it, and is a beautiful luxury kind of thing. And people go in on wedding gifts together all the time. So maybe your, college girlfriends would do a joint gift and get you that, or, your aunts and uncles or what have you. So as hard as it is, and as awkward as it is to put expensive items on your registry, I'm a very financially aware person, so I felt really weird picking expensive items, and people thinking, judging me and being like, gosh, she expects us to buy this, and how rude. That's not what people are thinking. They're going to spend what they're going to spend on you, and if they don't see something on your registry that they feel is special, they will pick something out on their own, which sometimes is really fun. We got a lot of things that we did not register for that I absolutely love, and that was a surprise. And other times you might get something that you don't love. I remember my parents, they got ashtrays when they got married, and neither one of them were smokers. Like funny things like that. So you never know what you're going to get. Okay, let me address some important things to consider when creating your registry. Number one is skip the Bed Bath & Beyonds. I know they're going out of business, but, draw a parallel there. Remember, we are going for unique quality pieces, and no shade to our larger retailers, but they're very limited in their options. You can of course, use companies like Zola that will pull together many retailers, so you don't have so much pressure to pick one place that serves all the buckets. But I would encourage you to look at local boutiques and see if there's one that has ordering opportunities and carries many lines. We were married in Charleston, South Carolina, but many of Johnson's family members and friends are based out of New Orleans, and so we registered at 2 boutiques in New Orleans. A few things to think about this, though, and are worth talking about with the gift staff are: number one, are you limited to items that are only in store, or can you order lines through their carriers? Second is, if someone buys something from the store for you, are you able to return it for store credit? Sometimes people will buy something from the shop for you that either you didn't register for and you might decide you would like to return, or maybe you did register for it, but you only got one of the sets. So maybe you registered for a set of 8 steak knives, you got one. You might decide that you'd like to return that single steak knife and go for another option with your credit. Make sure that your credit does not have an expiration. You want to have time to decide what is going to work in your home. Honestly, it can take a few years to figure it out. I'm not embarrassed to say that Johnson and I, while we were in New Orleans, just used the last bit of credit we had at one of the boutiques. And we've been married it will be 8 years in a couple weeks. So not having an expiration is really important. You want to have time to decide what works in your home, what your style is, and it can take time to figure that out. So with the smaller boutiques, you also want to make sure that they are established shops that have a low risk of closing, and have that awkward conversation about what happens to your credit if the shop does decide to close. How are you given notice? How can you use that credit? Are they going to cash you out? I say this because we experienced this with one of the 2 shops that we registered at in New Orleans. They switched ownership, and it was a scramble to use our credit before they closed. And then going back to Zola or other retailers is to think outside the box. Another place, and husbands will perk up their ears, that you can register is places like REI, or I'm sure the large hardware stores like Home Depot or Lowe's have the ability to have registry items from their sites, which when we bought our house, this was not part of our wedding registry, but when we bought our house, we registered for a really good set of tools. That's something I would recommend registering for when you're getting married. If you have a home already, good lawn care equipment. It's expensive, and it's something that you will love every time you use it. I know it sounds crazy, but I love my lawnmower. It is so easy to use. It's great. I don't have to think about it. I just trust that it's going to work, and it does. So things like this. And then Johnson and I registered for nice camping gear because we liked camping when we got married. We still do. We still have our tent. We got some great sleeping pads, some other items, and they have lasted us 8 years into our marriage, and we use them all the time. So think outside the box of plates and glasses and china into what kind of activities you like, and that kind of thing. Building registry is really fun. It's a lot of pressure. It's hard to think about. My biggest piece of advice is to have fun with it. Go bright, go bold, take the risky choice. Use the stuff you register for. So often people register for fine china and they don't use it. It sits in a cabinet and they're so afraid they're going to break a plate. No, use that stuff and love it and enjoy it. think outside the box. Brides, for those of you that are listening that have already been married, you've already done your registry, you're already through there. If you don't love what you registered for, sell it. Get something you do love. Donate it if it wasn't expensive. Clear it out. Carrying around guilt for something that was on your registry is definitely not what the person who gave it to you would want. So if you need to let go of something that doesn't suit who you are in your marriage anymore, I'm giving you permission to do so. I know the person who bought it for you would want the same for you. They want you to have something in your home that you love. And if you got married, whenever you got married, no matter how old you were, if you have changed since then, which all of us change every year, we're constantly evolving, that is no shade to you. So get what you love, use it, have fun. It is kind of fun to think about what you would register for if you were to do it all again. Love my husband. We will not be getting divorced. And I love what we have, but it is fun to go into these shops and peruse the websites and think, ooh, if I were a new bride, what would I do? It's amazing what they have out there. So anyway, I hope this was kind of a fun episode. If you have an engaged someone in your life or a new bride, send this to them. Hope it'll be helpful. And until next week, happy homemaking, everybody. Thank you for listening to this episode of Untraditionally Traditional. If you enjoy the podcast, please share it with those special people who would love it too, and write a review. For more tips and photos of my home and garden, follow Untraditionally Traditional Pod on Instagram. Until next week, let's continue to make our homes places of joy and service to ourselves and those we share them with.